We'll get started here. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and welcome to our employment prospects for construction sector in Saskatchewan, hosted by, of course, Career Loans. And yeah, we have a really great panel discussion ready for you guys, so we're going to jump right in. So if you want to interact with us, if you scroll your cursor just to the bottom of the screen, you should see a Q&A and chat function come up. You can throw your questions in there throughout the presentation, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end, but feel free to do that throughout. Who is here with us today? So myself, Candice Fox, I'm the Saskatchewan Outreach Consultant for Career Loans. We have Claudia Valenzuela, and she is our moderator today. She's the Information and Financial Counselor for Career Loans. Hello, Claudia. You want to give a wave?
Hello, everyone.
And then our panelists today, Colin Olfert, General Manager for Westridge Construction. Thanks for joining us today, Colin. And Laird Ritchie, the Regional Manager for Ledcor Construction. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate you guys coming on today. So I'm going to play a very short video about Career Loans. We're going to be using quite a bit of tech today, so I would just recommend everyone put their volume up on the screen. You never know how sound is going to work on each computer, so and then after that I'll throw it over to Claudia after talking about our schedule today.
Are you a permanent resident, convention refugee, or Canadian citizen residing in Alberta or Saskatchewan? Are you an internationally trained individual in a regulated or non-regulated occupation? If you are not finding a job in your field, need career counseling, are unable to secure funds for training, or have been declined for traditional loans, then Career Loans can help. Career Loans is a virtual program that has partnered with HSBC Canada to provide financial counseling, career counseling, loans of up to $15,000, referrals to employment services, alternative career advice, and a guide to the accreditation process. Our expert counselors will coach you on your career goals and enable you to reach your full potential. If you would like to apply for a loan, our counselors will refer you to our financial partner, HSBC Canada. After assessing your financial situation, if you are eligible, your loan will get approved. You then have up to 4 years to pay off your loan at an affordable, locked-in interest rate. This way, you don't have to worry about increasing interest rates or being buried under rising debt. Throughout the process, our expert counselors will be available to guide, mentor, and ensure you are on the right path to achieving your career goals.
Schedule for today, we are going to, after this slide, I'm going to bounce it over to Claudia, and she's going to do a panel introduction. We'll move into the panel, so the employment prospects in the construction industry in Saskatchewan. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Career Loans can help you. We are going to have a Q&A session, and then I'll end it with some upcoming webinars and a survey we would love for you guys to complete. So I'm going to stop share, and I will pass it over to Claudia.
Great, thank you so much, Candice. Very excited to be here, and thank you again to the panelists for being here. We appreciate, as Candice mentioned, your time and being here, sharing your expertise. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia Valenzuela. I'm the Information and Financial Counselor for the Saskatchewan province for the Career Loans program, and I will be moderating to the session titled Employment Prospects for the Construction Sector in Saskatchewan. Our expert panelists are, as you heard, Colin Olfert, General Manager at Westridge Construction Ltd, and Laird Ritchie, Regional Manager at Ledcor Construction Ltd. So based on reliable statistics taken from Billforce, by 2029, Alberta and Saskatchewan will lose over 74,000 construction workers. So the doors are opening for exploring many opportunities, and here is when the expertise of Colin and Laird will come in place and share their thoughts and knowledge. So I would like to share a little bit about their incredible career. So first of all, I'll start with Colin. As the general manager for Westridge, Colin oversees the construction operations of the company. He has been the general manager of Westridge for the past 2.5 years and has been working in the construction industry in Saskatchewan for 13 years. His experience includes various commercial, healthcare, recreational, civil, and retail projects, ranging up to $250 million in value. With a bachelor's degree of science in civil engineer and his ability to manage projects and people efficiently has enabled him to further his career expeditiously. Colin presently sits in the Saskatchewan Construction Association Board of Directors, the General Contractors Association Executive Committee, the ESDC Advisory Council, and the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure Bridge Tri-Party Committee. On the other hand, Laird Ritchie was born and raised in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineer from the University of Saskatchewan in 1988. He entered the construction industry shortly after graduation and has worked in the industry continuously since then. Throughout his career, Laird has been very active in the local construction industry. He has served as president of both Saskatchewan Construction Association and the General Contractors Association of Saskatchewan. Additionally, Laird has been chair of the Advisory Council of Saskatchewan and Construction Association and board member of the organization, and is currently a public appointee to the Saskatchewan Association of Architects Council. My goodness, lots of expertise here for both of them. Thank you so much, Colin and Laird, again for making time to share your incredible expertise with us. So right now we are going to turn the table to pass it on to our panelists. So they are going to do a quick presentation about the company that they represent, and I'll pass it on to first Colin.
Thanks, Claudia. Let me get this screen share thing figured out first. Claudia, you can see that?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So as Claudia mentioned, I'm the general manager for Westridge Construction. Although I've only been here for 2.5 years, the company was established back in 1989 by a group of 4 individuals, 3 of which are now retired, and the last of which remains to be our president and CEO, Leon Friesen. So yeah, I'm just a small bit of what the company has been over the last number of years. We have always been and will remain to be an employee-owned company. So like I said, those 4 gentlemen started the company 31 years ago, and we're expanding that into a more widely held employee-owned company over the last couple of years, and we've been able to gain another 15 shareholders through that. So that's been really good. So we are a regional contractor. We have 1 office located in Regina, do work all across the province of Saskatchewan, projects ranging, it says $1 million, but we do very small projects in the $20,000 to $50,000 range for different clients, and we do projects all the way up to that $45 to $50 million range. We're a relatively diverse company, working in the commercial, civil, and institutional construction markets in the province. Currently, we have an office staff of 21 people here in Regina, complemented in the field by 15 superintendents, as well as around that 80 to 100 carpenters, apprentices, and laborers who do all of our self-performed work. We self-perform all of our own concrete work, rough carpentry, doors, frames, hardware, and some other miscellaneous work. We're a core certified company from a safety standpoint, have been for the last 17 years. And yeah, it says at the bottom, quality, integrity, and teamwork are #1. All 3 are core values of of Westridge and continue to form sort of the basis of the company that we are. Just take you quickly through some of the projects that we're either currently working on or recently completed, and then I'll turn it over to Laird. So first of which completed in 2017, Sacred Heart School. This project is in Regina's $23.4 million project, completed in 3 phases. It's in the north central area of Regina. Really beautiful building, and was a great project for us. Currently working on this really interesting project in the city of Saskatoon, water treatment plant pumping and electrical upgrades. The most interesting thing about this project is it's on the site of the existing water treatment plant. Therefore, water lines and other services sort of running everywhere and anywhere across the site. So it required us to install shoring walls, as you can see in this photo, that are 12 to 15, 12 meters deep in some areas, 15 meters deep in some other areas. So really interesting project, and working our way out of the ground. And this picture's a couple months old here. Got a lot more concrete work in the ground since this point in time. Actually, my hometown where I was born and raised, Swift Current, we built a lot of schools, but a number of years ago, completed in 2014, we completed the largest project that Westridge has completed and listed here, $44 million joint use school, another great project.
Wow.
Very recently completed, just went to the grand opening of this project here a month and a half ago. Constructed a new pool, change rooms, staff building, mechanical building at the Buffalo Pound Provincial Park, which is just a few minutes, say 45 minutes west of Regina. Yeah, great project, and being used at a little bit more of a limited capacity during COVID-19, unfortunately, but still getting used very well nonetheless. Input housing is a project, again, we've very recently completed. Smaller project, but really interesting in the fact that 10 families that all had children that suffered from intellectual disabilities got together and all wanted a place where their adult children can live together in a community, feel that piece of independence with having their own place, but still being able to use the friendship they had built amongst themselves. So this is actually 10 units of those people with those disabilities, and then another 1 staff member with some common areas. So this was just a smaller project, but honestly a great project to be involved in. It was awesome. Again, another school. As you can tell, we built a lot of schools. This one completed back in 2012. Beautiful looking building inside and out, as you can see here. Last one I've got on my list is Richardson Bennett Farm Office and Training Building, one that was completed here just a couple of years ago, just outside the outskirts of Regina. Used as an office facility for some Richardson staff, as well as they bring farmers from all across the province to this facility to do some training on their products and services. So again, another beautiful building inside and out. So can answer any questions later, but for right now, that's the end of my show, and I can pass it over to Laird.
Okay. Well, thank you much, Colin. And I, on the other hand, took the easy way out, unlike Colin, because we happen to have a pretty decent video presentation that showcases what Ledcor is all about. And I believe Candace is going to bring that up and start sharing that now.
"70 years of collaboration and innovation. Generations of safety, integrity, and accountability. Countless projects. Thousands of employees. Working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is Ledcor." of North America's largest and most diversified construction companies. We're up early. We work through the night. Through freezing temperatures and desert heat. We have the expertise, experience, and equipment our clients depend on day after day. Our fully integrated team can take any project from pre-construction to final inspection, leaving a legacy wherever we go. And when we collaborate across disciplines, sectors, and borders, it sparks innovation and transforms the way we work. Our clients know we're there for them anytime, anywhere, taking their business to the next level. For 70 years, Ledcor has been planning, building, drilling, shipping, driving, flying, digging, no matter the temperature, weather, or hour. And we will keep moving 24/7, 365, year after year. Forward, together.
On a more local level in Saskatchewan, we tend to be primarily building construction here. A lot of retail, light industrial, and multi-unit residential. But overall, as you could see, Ledcor itself is a very, very diversified organization with lots of various sectors of construction, very big into heavy industry in Alberta, particularly lots up in Fort Mac oil sands area. But enough about us for right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Laird, for your presentation as well as for Colin's. We appreciate there are lots of things, interesting projects that you have run throughout the years. Both companies are very solid in Saskatchewan as what we observed. And right now what we are going to continue on is with a series of questions that I would like to ask. So the way we are going to go is just ask a question to one panelist and then move to the second one. You are more than welcome to complement each other. And I'll start with the first question for Laird. So the first question would be, what are your thoughts about the outlook of the construction industry in Saskatchewan at this moment?
Okay. Well, firstly, I think everyone needs to understand that, you know, the Saskatchewan economy and construction as well is very much a resource-based economy. And things have been pretty flat for the last number of years in potash and uranium and oil. Agriculture, kind of the fourth component, has stayed fairly solid at least. So even before the COVID crisis, construction industry has been pretty flat, much slower than it had been in the early 2000s through about 2015 or 16. It had been quite strong. My take on it is probably over the next 6 months or so, at least, it's going to remain pretty quiet. I can see it picking up a little bit more when a bunch of the stimulus money starts to hit the streets. Right now, consultants are working on a lot of design for projects that will be coming out, and are likely to be getting constructed through 2021 and 2022. So I foresee a bit of an uptick over the next couple of years. Further out than that, though, like beyond 2022, you'd need a crystal ball, and it really depends a lot on the strength of our commodity markets. If they come back, everything is going to be busier in Saskatchewan. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, not so much. Like right now, it's not particularly rosy, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else to add to that question, Colin?
No, Laird must have been looking at my notes, because I wrote down a lot of the exact same stuff, actually.
Okay.
The only thing that I would add, I totally agree that the short-term outlook looks fairly good, and the stimulus money that the provincial government has announced will definitely help us and hopefully get us through to some better times. But like Laird said, we don't necessarily have a crystal ball to see what resource pricing is going to be like here in the next number of years. The only other thing that I said is there's currently a fairly large push for the local work, so the work through the stimulus funding, to stay within the province, to have local contractors and local design firms designing and then building these buildings and these other pieces of infrastructure. So I think that's really positive for the local firms that we've got. We've got lots of good expertise here, and it will be good to have us local contractors adding to our staff to get some of this work done.
Okay, thank you so much for that input, Colin. So I will continue with the second question. Based on your experience, Colin, what are the 3 construction-related occupations in most demand, based on what you know at the moment?
That's a really tough question. I really struggled with this one a little bit, but it ebbs and flows so much. I would say generally, again, you look at a market like construction, you've got the design firms, you've got construction firms with offices where there's more technologists, engineers, and that type of staff in the offices. But then it's been a large push ever since I've been in the industry, and like you said earlier, it's been 13 years, where there's always been a struggle to get the craft labor in the field. So the two craft labor markets that I sort of looked at that there's been a struggle trying to find those people would be sheet metal workers and drywall professionals. Those two scopes, in my mind, there's been a small shortage here in the last little while, and trying to get people through those programs is going to be important here in the next number of years. The other one, again, from an office standpoint, I think not a huge shortage, but as we see more and more work getting into the design firms, I think the engineering technologists and the architectural technologists, I think there'll be a fairly big drive to have those people involved. There continues to be a lot of effort required to get the drawings to the right point and get the contract documents ready to a point that it makes our jobs a little bit easier out in the field. So those are the 3 that I had sort of come up with.
Okay, thank you so much, Colin. That's very good. And Laird, do you have anything else to complement?
Yeah, I'd say traditionally I found the most difficult position is that of a superintendent, who's pretty much in charge of running all the field forces on site. And that role is kind of shifting somewhat, in that it used to typically be a carpenter would go on and become a superintendent, and now you're seeing people more from the technologist or even engineering side that will choose to stay in the field and run a project. And to me, it's the most important position in our business. They're dealing with all the subtrades field forces, with the consultants daily, quite often with the owners. And my saying is always like a strong superintendent can overcome a weak project manager, but it doesn't really work in reverse. without a strong super, a job's really going to suffer. So, and it's not that there aren't superintendents out there, but there's a variety of skill levels, and you need a super with good people skills as well, more so even than the technical skills. Another one I've found that is becoming more and more important is good safety professional, safety manager, and especially someone that has knowledge and is familiar with the, I guess, the subtleties of commercial construction, as opposed to coming from a manufacturing background or industrial construction. It's a very difficult role in that you have to keep safety as job one, but you still have to work with the rest of your team to keep the project progressing as well. So those are a couple of roles I find can be very challenging to find good people for.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, Laird, the next question would be, what sort of training or education is required to work in construction? Of course, we're talking construction very broadly, but based on your experience, some of the key opportunities in demand, what type of training or education would you suggest?
Okay. And I'd focus more on, I guess, the office admin side as opposed to the craft field labor. I mean, obviously, we're still going to need electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and frankly, that's probably where the biggest drain is going to be over the next number of years from retirement, because we kind of lost a generation in the industry during a time in which trades weren't really promoted as a viable career. And luckily in the last 10 years or so, that has changed somewhat, and people realize there is very good money in the trades. But if you're looking in the administration office side of it, typically we're looking for someone with a engineering or architectural background. Most of our staff would either be engineering technologists, architectural technologists, or engineers. And right now, Sask Polytech has just started offering a Bachelor of Construction Management degree program, and that's very well suited for the skills we're looking for in the office for running projects.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much, Laird. Anything else for you, Colin, to add up?
No, not necessarily. Laird hit the nail on the head with that one for sure.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting that, yeah, you assume that overall, because it's a huge trade, there will be more need on the craft side, as you said, Laird, but it's good to know that also there is a huge need on the office administrative part of it. So many, I am assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, many of individuals that have administrative technical background that also has an understanding on the technical and engineer part would be a good fit for opportunities like that.
Yeah, that's certainly a big part of it, and I think we'll probably touch on that a little bit later as well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And so the next question for Laird is if you have any tips.
Isn't it Colin's turn?
Sorry?
I thought it was Colin's turn this time, but no, anyway, I can answer. So fire away.
Okay. So if you have any tips for breaking into the construction sector.
Okay, and that's actually kind of where I was going, because you're talking about the technical skills, and frankly, that I don't find the technical skills that difficult to find. There are a lot of people out there with solid technical skills, and frankly, your people skills is going to be the biggest differentiator with you. Your people skills are going to take you further than the technical skills will, and by that you need to have good communication skills. I mean, certainly our company, we don't do a ton of public tendered work. Most of our work is negotiated, so Our success depends on our relationships with the clients and with the consultants and obviously with the trades. So beyond the technical skills, which is pretty much a given, find you have to be able to work with people, get along with people, find creative solutions to problems. And to me, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And for a lot of technical people, that's the hard part. It really is. Most people who are in a technical field went into that because they like working with technology, like working with numbers and calculations. I know I certainly did. That's why I went into engineering. And through the course of my career, I found out, yeah, lots of people have those, but the people skills are tougher. So if you don't have those, I would certainly say work on your communication skills is a huge, huge element. As much as that might seem a little different when you're looking to trying to get into a technical field, that's what will set you apart, I find.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. And Colin, anything else?
And I totally agree with Laird. I often tell some of my staff that we're more in the communication industry than we are in the construction industry. A lot of times, in order for projects to be a success, you need to be a good communicator first and foremost. A couple other notes that I would probably have is, again, just having the right attitude, coming to work every day, putting your head down and being a hard worker, but even more important, finding a company that is the right fit for you. Different companies have different cultures and have different ways of doing things, and although it could be difficult, I think a lot of success will be brought to the person that is able to find the company that's a good fit to the person and the attitude and the personality of that person. So on top of the communication skills, I think that's the biggest one. That would be the only other thing I'd have to add.
Thank you very much. And that now goes for you, Colin. The question, based on your experience, what is your advice for international trained professionals? As you well know, this program, Career Loans, is intended to support the career paths of international trained professionals that are coming with a vast experience on many areas. But we would appreciate your advice in that regard for professionals who are interested in breaking into the construction industry.
I think on top of the things that we just talked about, I think having that attitude and having those skill sets is the first piece. But the second piece is, I don't have a specific way that everybody can go ahead and do this, but I think you need to find the right person to talk to. And I'm not necessarily saying that's me or Laird or somebody else sitting across the table from us at one of our association meetings, but depending on what you're looking for, you got to go out there and seek and find that right person to talk to, and be persistent. Don't be persistent to the point where it's annoying, but be persistent and show them that, find a way to show that you have good communication skills and that you are a hard worker and that you would be dedicated as an employee and that kind of stuff. So my advice is just find that right person.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So Laird, the next question for you is if you have any examples of an innovative project done in the last 2 years that you haven't mentioned in your presentation.
I guess innovation, is interesting to. I actually can think of a couple things. One isn't a local project here. Actually, I found it really interesting as a construction nerd. In Vancouver, we're doing a major redevelopment of a mall, of a shopping center there, and we're using what was called top-down technology. So we're basically excavating beneath the existing structure, working our way from immediately beneath it all the way down 4 levels. And as we went down, we're installing all the foundations to carry a tower that's getting built on top, which it's kind of counterintuitive as opposed to just trying to support the building and digging a big hole. This was a very different way of doing things. And then just on a more local front, So I'm not sure how many of you around here may remember February of 2019, so a year and a half ago. It was basically brutally cold here for a month. Very tough time to be in the construction field, well, especially literally in the field. We were building the Dakota Dunes Hotel at the Whitecap First Nation just south of the city here, and it's a fully cast in place structure. And we're still wanting to continue with the work, pouring slabs outside, and our superintendent found and just took it on himself to find a way to keep things going, because I mean, in that freezing cold weather, even though you can heat from beneath, you still need to have a warm environment in which to work to and finish his slab. So he went online on Amazon, found a commercial sewing machine, and sewed together onion skin tarps, secured them around the perimeter of the slab, pumped some air in them, and basically jury-rigged a dome that would enabled us to carry on pouring concrete and placing and finishing our slabs and keep moving along. And I know that was certainly very much appreciated by the client, because pretty much everyone else was shut down during those times.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Wow.
just a little bit of outside the box thinking will take you a long ways.
Absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. Colin, so now for you, the next question is what type of current industry technology has your company incorporated in the past few years that are worth mentioning?
After watching Ledcor's video, I think we're a little bit behind in this area. We haven't adopted any virtual reality or anything like that, but we are a regional contractor with one office, so we're definitely not at the forefront of call it technology adoption, but we do have a younger group of leadership here, and sort of that shift from those founding members over to us from a management standpoint. We have taken technology a little bit further over the last little while. So just fairly recently here in the last couple of years, although our people in the field used soft copy documents, a lot of it, how it got to the field was just via email, and we've started to now utilize SharePoint and OneDrive a lot more for document sharing, not only between the office and the field, but also with project team members that are outside Westridge, so the owner and the client and the consultants and all that kind of stuff. So another one, we've been using a robotic total station for quite some time now. We've got a few people within our company that are very, very well versed on how to use that. So it's a surveying machine for those of you that don't know. Pretty much able to do whatever surveying we need to do on any of our projects with one person. So that's been another piece. And just like everybody else, most of our projects now are paperless. Drawings in our job site trailers are no longer a large rollout set of drawings, and a lot of which is on screen, and most of our site trailers are now equipped with big screen TVs where drawings are being pulled up on there, and that's how the people in the field are collaborating, is pointing at a big screen TV rather than rolling out the big set of drawings. So yeah, that's just a few that I could mention.
Very good. Thank you so much. Very interesting projects. My goodness, it requires a lot of work and different skill set from a group of people, right? So Laird, the next question for you would be that what is your differentiating point amongst other similar businesses in the construction sector?
Yeah, well, probably as you could tell from the video there, Ledcor is a very, very diverse company, certainly far beyond building technology or building construction only. But what that does bring to us is it gives you a really varied career path, because we have lots of people move from kind of one business unit to another, from building construction, industrial construction, pipelines, asphalt. So that's probably one of the things I think that would differentiate us from most construction companies. While most don't have airplanes and helicopters either, for that matter, but that's a bit of an aside. And the other thing on more local front, and I alluded to it earlier, is we tend not to play in the public tender market a great deal. I'd say probably 75 to 80% of our work is their private, privately negotiated work or invited tender work. So we don't do a lot of schools and hospitals. And traditionally Saskatchewan has been very strong with contractors that do. I mean, for years, a lot of contractors' bread and butter was doing schools here. And there's a lot of contractors that are frankly better at it than we are. So we have to kind of pick our spots. Yeah.
Well, I guess each of you specialize in different areas, and you provide an array of different opportunities for people to pick, and skills and projects to pick as well, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, Colin, to the 4D technology, virtual reality, we don't see that out here in Saskatchewan either. Our Vancouver guys do that quite regularly when they're doing $200 and $300 million jobs. It really is a bit of a different world than we working out here. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that. So now, Colin, the next question is, you mentioned on your company's information that your motto is building with teamwork. Can you share an example with us? What do you mean by that?
I think first and foremost, before I even mention an example, it's just really more a mentality. It's not only within the four walls of our office or on our job sites, but it's how we go about dealing with issues and challenges that we have on some of our projects. Is how can we address this as a team, and how can we come up with the right answer that's going to be best for the project. So that's working as a team with the client and the consultants and your entire project crew. The one example that I had recently completed project here late last year, so coming up on a year ago, a client we were working for just had a really poor set of drawings. It was a restaurant chain that had a building that was designed to be constructed in California that they just dropped on our plate and said, oh, go build it in Regina, which there's a lot of different aspects to building in California than there is in Regina. So we had an opportunity where we could have got prepared for our delay claim and got our lawyers on board and tried to figure out a way to get our money out of it that way. But instead, we got together, brought everybody, the architect, the engineers, the client, brought everybody together and said, okay, how can we figure this out? These are our suggestions. And again, we just really worked as a team to make sure that we could deliver this project on time and on budget. And we actually delivered the project a week ahead of schedule. So that was something that was really positive. Could have turned out in a negative way, but we really turned it around while being able to work as a team to make it definitely a positive.
Thank you so much for that. Going back to the soft skills that you mentioned, right? So that is essential in any way, shape, or form, and regardless of what type of level you go at, but they are extremely important, and it's transferable really in any other type of industry nowadays, along with technology. But if you create a positive impression and you have the right attitude, I think is a good place to start with, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for all that amazing information. We're getting ready for Candice to continue on with the second part of our presentation to learn a little bit more about career loans, and then we're going to address the question and answer period.
Okay.
That's a hard one to follow up on after that presentation. So I'm going to do my best, but I'm just going to take a minute here and share my screen with you guys. All right. Thank you, Laird and Colin, so much for that information. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about career loans and how we might be able to support you breaking into the construction industry or whatever industry you might be interested in. So Career Loans was launched in April of 2019, so we're fairly new. We're a virtual program accessible anywhere, anytime, as long as you have an internet access. And we offer free career and financial counseling, as well as low interest microloans for educational purposes to internationally trained individuals. And we are funded by the Government of Canada's Foreign Credential Recognition Program and coordinated by the Centre for Education and Training. So some eligibility criteria, who our clients are. So we are looking at internationally trained individuals in regulated and non-regulated occupations and trades. So regulated might be doctor, engineer. Unregulated might be something like an HR specialist or even a marketing specialist, all of which work in the offices and work in the construction industry, except for doctors. You have to be a resident of Saskatchewan or Alberta, a permanent resident, Canadian citizen, or convention refugee, and we ask that you have a minimum Canadian language benchmark of a level 5. So some program features. You can see our team there, Claudia, of course, and who you don't see is Gavin. He's our tech wizard. He's right in the middle there, the picture below. He's with us today as well. So some program features, we offer free career and financial counseling. So even if you don't access our educational loans, you still have access to Claudia and her services. Low interest loans up to $15,000. Referrals to local employment services. So if you need, some more support that we cannot provide, like employment services, we will refer you to a local service provider. Alternative career advice. So if you are looking for some advice in the same industry, a parallel or linear shift, we can certainly support you in that. A guide to the accreditation process, and of course, our career loans team. So our goal is really to empower internationally trained individuals in Alberta and Saskatchewan to achieve their career goals through individual career and financial counseling. And of course, educational loans. That's going to look different for everyone. Success looks different for everyone. But we want to help support individuals to make stronger, happier, healthier communities and families. So some program benefits. Like I mentioned, virtual program accessible anywhere, anytime, as long as you have internet connection. Personalized career and financial counseling. Low interest rates. I think prime plus 2% is something like 4.45, I think the last time I looked. And available to individuals who have been denied traditional loans. So our financial partner is HSBC. They put on a completely different hat than if I was stepping in there, someone born and raised in Saskatchewan. The loan repayment period is up to 4 years from when you've received your loan. Continued support throughout the process, so you have the career loans team cheerleading you on throughout the time. And like I said, referrals and access to local service providers if you're requiring additional services. And alternative career and planning. So if you are looking to stay in the same industry, but just make a career shift, we can certainly provide lots of assessment tools, lots of resources to help you make that decision. Our application process is very simple. Just visit our website, www.careerloans.ca. Claudia will review your application and she will email you your membership login. And then you and her will chat about what educational training records or what she might need, proof of residence, and immigration status. So what are some of the things that we will, eligible expenses that we will cover through our microloans? So credential assessment and accreditation, exam fees, training. So any bridge training at a regional college or university, materials, licensure fees, membership association fees, and union fees. And so again, some of our member benefits. So signing up for career loans, you have 24/7 access to our back end. And there you'll find webinars, live sessions with guest speakers, latest industry trends, and expert financial and career counseling with Claudia, our rep in Saskatchewan. So some community collaborations. So before COVID hit, I was traveling around Saskatchewan, visiting Moose Jaw, Tisdale, Weyburn, North Battleford, all sorts of places. And we are really keen to establish relationships with relevant community organizations across Saskatchewan. So if you have a friend or family member who's in a smaller center, we can still service them. We're also very invested in providing relevant information, much like today's webinar. So please, keep track of us, follow us on social media, and register with Career Loans. Partners and collaborators, of course, the Federal Government of Canada, Centre for Education and Training, our financial partner, HSBC. We're also associated and partners with the Saskatchewan Open Door Society and Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation. All right. And so now I'm going to open up the floor for the Q&A, and I'm just going to sneak out of here. And I'll just peruse through these quickly, and then I'll direct them to Laird and Colin. What is a must to get a job in construction companies? Work experience, education, a mix of both.
I can start on that one quickly, Candice. I think we touched on a lot of that through the previous Q&A, but to me personally anyways, and the way I look at it is, between those two, work experience would be looked at more favorably than training. Again, we talked about the communication piece and how important that is moving forward, but between the two, I look at myself, like Laird, an engineer, graduated from the University of Saskatchewan. I look back and see how much of the actual training that I use in my job in construction is that I gained through my post-secondary education is very, very little. If I was working as a structural consulting engineer, that would be a different story. But me working for a general contractor is a little bit different. So me personally, I really look for the work experience and try to look for relatable work experience as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably agree on that front. And then another thing I think one wants to emphasize is you need to be adaptable and flexible. I know, I presume it's the same with Westridge. I mean, even though Ledcor is part of a big machine, locally we operate fairly small, and you need to be able to multitask and be adaptable. I never want to hear from someone, well, no, that's not in my job description. Our motto here is always, you do what needs to be done, period. So you have to be adaptable, be willing to take on a variety of roles, and don't think that a task is beneath you simply because you're trained as an engineer. Oh no, I shouldn't have to do that menial stuff. Hey, if the phone's ringing, I answer it. Like I say, you do what needs to be done in this industry.
Which I think supports individuals who want to become the superintendent or the project manager, because even though they might have an engineering background, because they've done all that small stuff, it probably puts things into perspective and they get a better idea or sense as to the scope of the whole project. This question, I was curious, what does the construction industry look like for new graduates? So maybe something around that is, can a new graduate expect to maybe get a position that's not exactly what they want, but if they want to break into the construction industry, should they just try to find their in wherever they can get it?
Well,
I think so. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, as Colin had mentioned before too, you need to be persistent because there's a lot more applicants than there are jobs out there right now. Particularly, unfortunately, it's just not a really good time to be trying to get into the industry here. I mean, not to throw a wet blanket on, but when I graduated, it was the same. I mean, I was able to work after a few months, found a job here, and then I could either be laid off or transferred to Toronto. So guess what? I went to Toronto. You have to be flexible as well in this industry, willing to move, and certainly you have to be open to working out of town, only being home on weekends if that's where the job is.
Okay. Colin, anything to add to that?
No, I totally agree with that, 100%.
Okay. Is it easier for individuals who are in sort of like a cooperative program, would you find, because they're getting that experience within the organization? Although I'm guessing that doesn't, guarantee that they're going to stay in with that company or get picked up with that company. But in your experience, would that be a good idea for people to get into?
I think it's a great idea. We just over the last 2 years, we've unfortunately only been in a position to hire one co-op student at a time, where back 10 years ago we were hiring several at a time. But both of those individuals that worked that co-op work term with Westridge are both now full-time employees, and in completely different areas as well. One being an architectural technologist that is now a project coordinator with us, and another that went through business administration systems, who is now our IT coordinator. We're doing a little bit more with IT, so not just in a typical construction related career as well, more in the information technology side. So it's definitely a great inroad for people that can get involved and get on board through a work term.
And I would fully agree. In fact, our most recent project coordinator hire, which was a year ago, was a young man who had been with us as a co-op student for a 16-month work term previously, between his 3rd and 4th year of engineering. So yeah, we fully believe the co-op programs are a good way to get some practical experience.
What about in terms of diversity and, bringing women into the mix? I know, typically construction is thought of as a very male-oriented industry. Do either of your organizations try to bring in more diverse individuals and bring women in?
Interesting enough, the two individuals that I just mentioned are actually both females. One, the architectural technologists, I think they're in a little bit of a different position, where it's not necessarily a male dominated industry on the IT side. So Pauline, when she came in, that's a little bit different. But Jill on the other side, where she came in through the architectural technology program, wanting to work her way towards a project management position, it's definitely different. But I've always looked at it as generally, not all the time, but generally males and females think a little bit differently. And again, we talk about the building the teamwork piece, and we often get together as a group of I bring our project managers together once a month, and we talk about different things, and I always see project managers at each other's door talking about different things that are going on each other's projects. So having that different perspective, the female perspective, I think is really important. So yeah, we don't necessarily have a policy or anything. It's the best candidate at the time, and we're just lucky enough to have the last two that have joined us be females.
Yeah,
Laird?
And yeah, certainly Ledcor has quite a significant focus on diversity right now. And similar to what Colin had said, like I've always thought our group here locally is very eclectic mix of personalities. They're not all the same type of people, and I find that builds a much stronger organization as well. And like I say, we certainly hire based on character and ability more than anything else. And I know certainly one of our kind of up and coming stars is a young woman who's a graduate engineer. And I mean, it's the attitude certainly more than the gender, though, that'll take you there. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's 1:29, so I'm gonna answer or ask one more question, and then I'll peruse through these later, and then maybe I'll send you guys a couple emails so that we can direct this. But I want to respect your time. Is there any trade specifically that you work for, or any or work with, or any area in your company right now where you would say, yeah, we're looking to hire, or this is a position that we need more support in?
Frankly, not locally here. No, not in Saskatchewan. I know in some of our other regions that they're looking, but there isn't one specific shortfall here with us.
Okay.
And we're in a relatively the same boat. We've got a couple out of town projects where we like to hire local people as much as possible, not only to support the local community, but also to reduce the cost. When we're sending people out of town to work, it is coming at an additional costs, and we've been talking about the market being a little bit slower. Margins are a little bit tighter right now, and anything we can do. So finding the right person in that market can sometimes be difficult, but if you're if you happen to be in one of those markets, it's got a little bit of construction work going on. It can maybe be a little bit easier going around town and seeing what's going on. Again, in communities like Regina and Saskatoon, it's a little bit different. Everybody's fairly established, but communities like East End, Saskatchewan, and Assiniboia, and some of these others that we're working in or hoping to be working in shortly, it's a little bit of a different scenario. For us, I think that architectural person, we've got, coming from an engineer, we've got a lot of engineers that work for us right now, and we're a little bit short on more of the architectural type background. A lot of the work we do, I was mentioning schools and that before, so having that, not necessarily training again in architecture, but that keen eye for higher end finishes and some of that kind of stuff, and the detail work, and being able to work with clients and consultants on some of our, call it construction management or design build contracts. So that's the only one for us internally that would be something we'd be looking at.
Okay, awesome. Thank you both. Laird, anything else to mention in that?
Nope, afraid
Okay.
not.
No, that's okay. I'm just going to share my screen quickly one more time before I bid everyone adieu. All right. Oh, of course I would have to do this. Well, I'm going to see if I can peruse through these. Technology is great when it works. I just want to give everyone an update over around some webinars that we do have coming up, specifically in nursing. Give me 2 seconds here. There we go. So we have a, no. We almost got tech free, you guys, almost. So we have a free program for internationally trained newcomers, which I will be hosting on Thursday. I do this weekly, so if you are not sick of me yet, feel free to jump on, follow the Eventbrite link, and you will see me on Thursday. Navigating the licensing process for internationally trained nurses. Our featured speaker is Don Morales. He is the interim program head for the internationally educated nurses at Saskatchewan Polytechnic, and that is September 17th. And then we have a presentation by SAS Trucking. We don't have the link for that yet, but we are looking at October 8th. And please, if you have time, take our survey at careerloans.ca/webinar feedback. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us today. Any closing out words or anything else, Claudia, that I've missed?
Yes, I want to say thank you so much. The information is so valuable, and it gives us a real perspective of what's going on, because our main purpose is to share what it is and explain things as they are, right? Because being in so many areas in Saskatchewan, and coming also newcomers from different perspectives and backgrounds and thoughts of being or following advice from somebody, it's good to hear from the experts like yourself. So we really appreciate, again, your time is being so valuable. I learned a lot about you, about how innovative you are, about the people's skills. So I got a lot of information, and I really, really appreciate on behalf of Career Loans. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I don't often get called an expert, but thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So if there are any remaining questions, I'll connect with Laird and Colin, and we'll post them online for everyone to read. But thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.